It says waiting, but I'm pretty sure we are live. If I'm being honest. Try it again. Yeah, we're definitely live. I don't know why it says waiting every single time I do this. I don't know. I gotta figure this shit out more. But welcome everyone to another edition of the 4GwQPodcast podcast. This is episode number 172 for June 14th, 2018. It is post E3. We are done with E3 essentially. It is a wrap. People are just finishing up. I think the show floor is open till like 6 or 5 or something like that Pacific time. So people are still there chilling, playing their final games, maybe getting in line one last time for something that they've been really enjoying. But we're not there. But we did check out some of the conferences and checked out some of the games and some of the live streams from the floor that some of the big outlets did. So we have a lot to talk about on this post E3 wrap up podcast. And we're also going to maybe chat a little bit about what's going on with Fortnite, one of the biggest games in the universe right now. Looks like Sony is getting on the bad side of some people that play that game, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But before we get into the topics, I want to introduce the panel for this evening. Obviously, I am Inferno 217. Another obvious these days for this podcast, making his 172nd straight appearance. It's ZPCI Assassin. What's going on, bud?
Hi.
I love how every week I say, what's going on, bud? Every single week I say the same exact thing, and you're just like, hi. Not like, it's a great day, play a lot of Sea of Thieves, really loving, the new stuff you can do today, that update's out, really enjoying it. It's just, hi.
Hey.
Yeah, all right. Great. Last but not least, we've got Italian Clowns. What's going on, bud?
Yo, what's up? And I came here, Assassin again. I don't know if he's using like some type of Morse code where like eye blinks for an SOS out there to the people on the internet, but I hope people on YouTube can hear him. So yeah, what's up, everybody? Yeah,
it's registering on my end, so I'm pretty sure they can hear. He all he said is like hi pretty much so far, so hasn't said really much more than that. So, but yeah, topics already explained, so we'll get right into it. The show is probably going to be on the shorter side, but we will touch on all the big points of E3 2018. We'll try to go somewhat in order of how they were talked about, but maybe we'll diverge from that a little bit. Before we do, we are now part of the Tick Network. We're a Tick Network affiliate. So those guys were there. Shout out to the Iron Lords podcast guys, Cognito, Lord Cognito, and Lord King. Great guys, awesome guys. Better in person. I hate to say it, but King. You don't see his face on the podcast. You get to that guy in person, and man, that man is a mammoth. I thought Tim Dog was a big man. King is a big man. But those guys are always funny to talk games and other stuff with live, and they have an excellent podcast. And there are a few other podcasts that are affiliates as well. You can check all that stuff out on the Inner Circle Network website. And also, Clown's been writing some stuff over there for some comic book coverage and some other media coverage. So. Not necessarily game related, so to speak, but a little bit, but mostly comic stuff. So go check that out. All right, well, it's the wrap up episode, right? It's that E3 wrap up episode.
Does that mean Assassin makes a rap song?
Potentially. I don't know if he came prepared to do that today, but if he did. No? Okay, all right. So that would have been kind of badass. But apparently we're just gonna wrap it up by talking and not actually doing any rap music. But before we get into each individual kind of company's press conferences or showings at the show, one thing I'd like to kind of say about this E3, and maybe it's because I wasn't there and I was just jealous of what was going on, but I think this was one of the best E3s I can remember in recent memory. I think it's... Oh, go ahead, Clowns. Go ahead, bud.
It's one of the first E3s where 2 of the 3 major companies had stock price drops.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. I mean, we'll talk about a little bit what that could be about later on with Sony. even though there's been reports that it has nothing to do with Fortnite, but we'll get into the Fortnite stuff a little later. But Nintendo, even though, we'll get into that in a little bit too, but even though Nintendo, had a very short showing and didn't show a lot of, quote unquote third party stuff during their conference, I thought, I was encouraged by a lot of what they showed. But overall, I think pretty much everyone did well, I think. And I really enjoyed pretty much everything I saw, with the exception of a few small things here and there. Some music numbers and a couple of the different conferences, Bethesda, Sony included. Some weird shit going on, to say the least. But just generally speaking, Assassin, what do you think of this E3? Not necessarily diving too deep into people's conferences or anything like that, but what do you think just in general, how it went?
I thought of a bunch of the conferences I saw did well. I don't think the audience for most of them was actually like there. They were there physically, but mentally, I don't think they were there. Like Bethesda's and Sony's, you hear like two people clapping. Like I don't think they were watching or doing anything.
Yeah, and not to be like an ex-bot, so to speak, but I feel like the only one where people reacted really wildly was the Xbox one. Like the other ones that for Sony, there were here and there were instances, but like after The Last of Us 2 was shown, how amazing I thought that looked, it was like crickets in there, and I'm like, are you serious?
Oh, Inferno, I just had the button real quick because in Party Chat, Assassin was so excited about the Sony one. He almost pulled up into the pew and knelt down on Sunday at church, and he was like, "Ghost of Sushi, baby."
Wow.
I didn't. Wow.
Ghost of Tsushima or whatever it is.
Yeah.
First of all, were you in a Party Chat with clowns? No. Dude, we were. We were in party. I think we might have been in Party Chat for a little bit at that conference. Okay, hold on. We're getting some comments in the chat that I definitely want to address. When the piano tone, his Master Chief's helmet came into focus, was spine tingling. Yeah, we'll get into Microsoft in a second, but there were some. I thought there were a lot of E3 moments this year where it was like, wow, that was quite amazing. Like that was a moment to behold. Especially during Microsoft's conference, like the Gears 5 showing, the Halo Infinite showing. I thought those were a couple ones where you were just like blown away by what was going on. The Last of Us, of course. You not just by like what you were seeing in terms of gameplay or graphics or whatever, but kind of like the mood. I feel like there were a lot of those instances. But yeah. Anything else, Assassin, generally about E3? Sorry, I feel like I kind of cut you off.
No, I think that pretty much covered it.
All right.
One thing, musical performances that we did not need. I don't know why companies think that we need these things.
Yeah, overall, I think musical performances can probably stay out. Now, I know Bethesda's known kind of recently known for their wild conferences and kind of like out there presentations and parties after their conferences and stuff like that. Bethesda Land last year. Was that 2 years ago at this point? I thought that was last year though. But they've certainly gotten kind of reputation, but like Sony, recently with like classical music and like, a guy blowing on a windpipe for like 10 minutes, like, totally ruined that for me.
Inferno, that led all up to the next best thing. Finding Nemo is going to be. It's called Ghost of Sushi.
Ghost of Sushi. Oh yeah, that was right before the Tsushima one. One. You're right.
Yeah, that was for promoting. Yeah.
Yeah. Sobsky says in the YouTube chat that he did like the musical numbers. Personally, it wouldn't have been that bad if it were just like a quick thing. Like, say they did it for like, a minute, bam, right into Tsushima. Not too bad, right? If it were just like a minute, it would have felt like the longest minute on planet Earth, but at least it would have been tolerable. But some of these musical numbers...
have like that one specifically, have it played during like a trailer or something. Like,
yes,
I think one of the conferences did that. I forget. I think it was Ubisoft's that they did that. Mm-hmm. Like, do something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're gonna make it last that long, have it as part of the presentation. Like that's what I thought Bethesda was gonna do. When Bethesda came right out of the gun and they had that guy Andrew WK, whatever his name is, that metal guy, right? They had him come out and kind of play that thing before the Rage 2 gameplay reveal. I thought that was going to be like the music that he was playing. I thought it was going to be part of the trailer, and then it ended up being like this just a 5-minute song where nothing was shown. And it was like, okay, that was kind of badass, I guess, but do we really need that? Like that kind of just wasted your time. I mean, these guys have limited time. It's not like they can just go on and on and on until it's done,
Yeah.
But the Sony one, I think without that breaking up of the rhythm, I think Sony could have been right up there with one of the top conferences this year, even though they only showed a few things, because the gameplay was spectacular for the most part. It was extremely good, and it's just that just totally broke up the rhythm. And I think in the first 32 minutes they'd only shown one game, which is kind of like, are you serious? You'd only showed Last of Us through the first 30-something minutes, and they funneled all the people that were there from the tent into another room for what reason? You know what I mean? I think that kind of failed them a little bit, and if you look at, you got to think
about it this way. As far as the reason why it didn't seem as filled as other conferences, they just had some blockbusters come out like Detroit Become Human, God of War. So I mean, you got to think about, they took those off the stage because they showed them last year and they released this year.
Yeah, so they had
Lost
some
Legacy.
They could have shown third party like Call of Duty Black Ops 4. I mean, that's getting a bunch of shit lately. Like, yes, it had like a 30-second stage presence, but the 10 shot out of the Battle Royale mode that could have done like 10 minutes.
Think about it this way, though. If you're a shrewd businessman and you're smart like Sony, why to show all that stuff when they know that eventually Xbox is going to show it anyway?
Yeah, but why spend that time putting some guy with a flute on stage for just as long? Like, you're still paying that guy.
I feel like
just Activision, but
yeah, I feel like since Sony has those marketing deals, they kind of knew what Xbox was going to show ahead of time. Like, not knew necessarily that they were going to show, like Cyberpunk, for instance. I don't know if they knew they were going to show something like that, but they knew that they weren't going to show any Activision games because they have the Activision deals with Destiny and with Call of Duty, so they knew that wasn't coming. They probably knew that they had the stranglehold on Resident Evil, so I mean they showed that, so that was a good on them. But if they didn't show some of that other third party stuff, and it was just those four games, and that was essentially it, I think this would have been terrible for them because of the pacing at the beginning, and then they kind of ramped it up. So if they maybe added a few more third party things, I think they could have taken it to that next level. But I mean, I see your point, Clowns, and I think it's a good point that you don't want to, especially when that your third party titles or your cross platform titles or multi-plats, I should say, if that those are going to show weaker on your hardware than on Microsoft's, you probably don't want to focus on that because you're kind of like advertising the fact that you're the weaker system right now. But I don't know. I thought they could have showed a little bit more, and I know they had a little bit more, but let me see what's going on. Oh, good.
There's a big thing that Sony missed in this conference is I know that the PS5 may be 2020 or 2021, but if they're going to make any late announcements in 2019 that, hey, the PS5's coming, to keep people on the edge of their seat, because what did Xbox do this year? They turn around and announce Scarlet that's coming supposedly in 2020. One head up on Sony this time.
Yeah, that kind of like a controlled leak on that Project Scarlet thing. So if anyone missed that, what Clowns was talking about is that is the new code name for the next generation of Xbox hardware, which apparently has been kind of rumored to be not just one console, is like a family of consoles at this point. So I don't know if Project Scarlet is even just one console or if it's just referring to the whole family, but nonetheless, it is the next generation of hardware, and it kind of got this controlled leak, you would say. You know, I don't think Microsoft's out there denying it either. So I think they kind of wanted, you know, wanted to get out there that, you know, that something else was in the pipeline, and kind of want to beat Sony to the punch this time for sure, because that's when it worked last time. If you remember, 360 beat Sony to the punch by like almost a year, or about a year, and you know, the rest was history. David SNC says, and good point by him in the YouTube chat, says Sony talked about PS5 a few weeks ago through like some control leaks, I guess. So Microsoft responded. Yeah, maybe. I mean, that could be it.
The only thing is with Sony's control leaks was he made it sound like it could be 2021. Microsoft is making it sound like it could be 2020. So if you're, let's say that you had to choose one console or the other, you're going to save up for the one that comes out first, more than likely.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what happened with the 360. And it took years upon years, and it took, you know, up until, you know, almost the launch of the next gen consoles for PS3 to kind of catch up, because in the beginning it was so far behind, and, you know, Microsoft probably wants to repeat that history. So yeah, I think it would be smart, and I wouldn't be surprised if you know, before next year's E3 they kind of show off something or talk about something officially. But all right, enough about that. Let's get into the specific conferences. Xbox, we'll get into, or actually EA was first. Right? I was going to say Xbox was first. EA was first. So EA, for me personally, I'll let you guys kind of follow up on this. EA, for me personally, was a little bit of a letdown. I thought the pacing was not very good. I thought, you know, they didn't show stuff that I thought could have made a huge hit, like Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 3. They didn't show like a new Fight Night game. I thought these were things that could have made a big impact. Obviously, that didn't happen. I thought they spent a little too much time on sports titles again. About, you know, sports titles coming to PC. I thought they spent too much time on the PC audience in general. Not because I have anything against PC. I do have a PC, you know, rig right here that plays games very well. But, you know, they talked about Origin Access Premier and very little about EA Access, which is the originator. Remember, if you remember correctly, EA Access for Xbox came out first, and then they ported it to the PC, and now the PC is getting the better version of that. They talked a lot about that, unfortunately. You know, I thought they just could have done a little bit better. I mean, there's no Skate 4, and then yeah, we'll get to this in a second, but Xbox announced a skateboarding game that everyone thought was Skate 4, and it was something else, and people are hyped about that now, but they had the opportunity to announce another skate game. It just didn't happen. So I thought overall, other than you know, the Battlefront news, I thought it was kind of a letdown, to be honest. What do you guys think?
I thought EA had the worst showing ever. They didn't really advertise Battlefield 5 that's coming out in like just a few months. They, you know, gave like 2 minutes of the whole presentation to Battlefield 5, and then gave all the multiplayer, like basically a reveal of how it plays, to YouTubers. I thought that was terrible. The Battlefront 2 stuff is exciting. I'm glad that they're, you know, bringing a bunch of good content to the game. And then Anthem, I thought showed pretty well. But other than that, everything else was a snore.
Yeah, I thought Anthem, you know, that's a good point, because, you know, I feel like Anthem going into the thing was kind of like a foregone conclusion that was going to show well. But then there was a little bit of chatter on Twitter that people didn't think Anthem showed that well, that people were afraid that that Anthem was going to be a lot like Destiny from what they saw and heard at the conference. And then little by little, they had more like gameplay releases and talked a little bit more about it. Not necessarily at their conference, but during the show to like GameSpot and IGN through live streams, they talked more about Anthem. And I know a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I know a few people that played the game at E3, played the demo build, and thought it was excellent. Thought the gunplay was good. Thought that you know, firing while flying felt really natural, and that they, you know,
no, Inferno.
Yeah.
If any of those people that you talked to that liked Anthem were Destiny fans,
their opinion does count. But I feel like any game like that, no matter who it is, it could be Rockstar making a game like that, or it could be Naughty Dog. Like everyone's just gonna compare it to Destiny. I don't think that is fully fair to the devs, but I mean, we will see.
Hi, BioWare.
Yeah, well, clowns. I don't think you're saying that jokingly, but like it has that tone that maybe, you think BioWare is done, but like how could it be done releasing a game like this? But at the same time, like, this is kind of like the last ditch effort, right? Because if you think about it, Andromeda was developed by like their quote unquote B team, right?
That was a good game though.
Clowns,
a great game.
I think Clowns is like one of few that think that was a quote unquote great game. I mean, it did okay like towards the end. I mean, let me see.
Because it came down in price dramatically. I mean, like that thing took a price drop real fast.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it
the
was
RPG elements of it.
Yeah, it was in the 70s in meta, so not too bad. But I mean, a lot of people hated that out of the gate and thought that BioWare in general was doomed and that the Anthem was a saving grace. And now that Anthem is kind of, people are saying quote unquote copying Destiny, people think that BioWare can be in trouble, and this is kind of like their last ditch effort. So, Clown says bye bye BioWare, but that's a real concern for a lot of people. And I don't think EA did like a ton to make it seem like that, BioWare is back on the map and that BioWare was back to what people loved about them. Like, I just feel like they just showed another game and, people kind of like don't even think of it as, they weren't even like advertising that it was by BioWare, you know what I mean? It was just kind of like, here's Anthem, love it because it looks gorgeous,
With Anthem is that the cost production was so high, and I don't think it's going to get that much in returns, especially if it's being compared to Destiny 2 by the press. Also, the biggest difference between Anthem and Destiny 2 is that Anthem doesn't have any PvP, and they have no plans to add it in the future whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. But many games don't have PvP, and they've done pretty well.
Yeah, I mean,
but
good.
Online story type of game only. You're not going to be able to just roll in single player, I don't believe.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting if they just like copy off of what Destiny did with, like forming fire teams, if you will. I feel like with the stuff even with the stuff they showed at EA and the stuff that they talked about, I feel like I don't know too much about this game, honestly. Like, I feel like I know more about the customization aspects of the game where you can customize your, what do they call it? Can't remember what they call the mechs, but you customize your guy. I feel like that was focused on a lot more than like, how you team up, how you collaborate, this, that, I mean, we heard about the story, we heard about the customization, but I feel like a lot of the gameplay collaboration was kind of not necessarily skipped over, but not Javelin. Thank you in the chat. I feel like the collaboration aspect wasn't emphasized as much as it probably should have been. I mean, people like games where you can just jump in and not have to join a fire team of like, fuckwits. I mean? Like, you guys playing Sea of Thieves earlier, like, I was at work, but I was seeing your DMs where you're like, oh, I don't trust this guy, or like, I don't know what's going on here, this, that, and the other thing. Like, people like don't want to join randoms in games where the collaboration is bad. But I feel like in Anthem, like, they could have talked about that a little bit more and made people feel better about jumping into a random fire team, if you will, and taking down some baddies.
Forced fun. Anybody on this panel loves forced fun. I gotta say, it's Assassin. He loves to be thrown in random lobbies with random people he's never spoken to.
There you go. Anyway, other than Anthem and other than the Clone Wars expansion for Battlefront 2, what else do you guys think was good from EA? Much of anything? I mean, I just thought the pacing was awful on that conference. I thought they had the potential to just like show so much good stuff, and they kind of dropped the ball a bit. Like, I don't care about Madden 19 on PC, and I don't think a lot of people do either. No offense. I mean, Madden's really found its home on console. I don't think Madden 19 on PC and Origin Access Premier is really what people are gonna like praise EA for these days.
I think they made a big mistake with that Access Premier only on PC, and it should have been on console as well.
Yeah, I think so too. I hope that by the time it does officially launch, I hope that it does make it to console, because I think it's a big missed opportunity. I think console people feel slighted because EA Access and Origin Access wouldn't even be a thing if it weren't for Xbox people. Because Sony declined it, Microsoft didn't decline it, and it became a huge thing on Xbox. They ported it over to Origin. It's got some success over there, and now PC people. I don't know why they're catering so much a PC crowd. I just felt like this conference they catered a lot to PC crowd. But anyway, that was EA. Probably move on from that, because that conference. I mean, I agree with Assassin. I think that conference was one of the weaker ones, to be honest, that I saw at least. I know I didn't see Square Enix, but I heard that was pretty bad. My brother was telling me that was awful, and then some people were like, on Twitter, some people were saying, "Oh, that's it," when Square Enix was over. But anyway, let's get to the Xbox one, because this one was interesting, because they showed 50 games, 18 exclusives, or 18 world premieres, or I can't remember the numbers right now, but it was decent. It was a decent showing, I thought, of different different genres, different tastes of gaming, because they got the Japanese market finally with stuff like Tales of Vesperia remastered. They got Jump Force, which is a fighting game with a lot of anime, a lot of Japanese inspired fighters in the game. That game looks incredible, by the way. Bandai Namco, I think, is the maker of that. So it has like Dragon Ball Z. It has One Piece, bunch of if you're a fan of anime, you're gonna know a lot of the characters in there. But I don't necessarily want to go through like every single game that was shown, but I thought from start to finish, it was a pretty strong showing. Even though a lot of the stuff was third party, I will admit that. And we don't have a new AAA brand new IP or anything, but they announced that they grabbed 5 new Microsoft Studios, I should say. So they added Compulsion, Playground Games, Ninja Theory, which was the big one. I can't remember the other ones. The Initiative, Undead Labs. Thank you, which just made State of Decay 2. So apparently they believe in that and they're impressed with that. They just announced 2 million players on State of Decay 2, so that's a success so far, I would say. And a brand new studio called The Initiative, which we don't really know what they're working on, so to speak, but obviously, tweets galore this week from the big guys, Aaron Greenberg, Mike Ybarra, Phil Spencer, talking about The Initiative, and they think that studio is going to bring some really good stuff. So they're bringing the studios. I mean, they're answering, essentially this conference, I think, was like answering the fears of people. But anyway, what do you guys think? Assassin of Clowns, what did you guys think of Microsoft showing?
I thought they had a pretty good E3, probably maybe even the best E3 for the Xbox One. They showed just so many good games, especially Forza Horizon. Yeah, Forza Horizon 4, like that looks so good. Like I didn't even know, they could even take a step further than 3. I thought, we would just get copy and paste the 3 but in a different location. But like that looked so good.
I agree with you on that. I said, like, during the show, I think I tweeted out. Well, I waited to tweet out anything until after the show, because it was just so hard hitting the entire time that I tweeted out at the end. I'm like, I can't believe that they took Forza Horizon to another level. Like, I thought it couldn't really get much better, and then they brought it to a whole nother level. When that guy Ralph Fulton came out and announced that it was in Britain, announced that there's a 60 FPS mode and the seasons and the Forzathon Live, where everyone on the map is kind of a real player instead of the drivatars that you've been used to. I thought it was just amazing.
Yeah, that definitely is going to get racing game of the year.
Oh, no
I have
question.
a feeling.
Yeah.
I thought Dying Light 2 showed extremely well. That might even be the best game I've seen at E3. Maybe tied with Forza Horizon 4. Like, both of those games just, I think, showed so well.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot wait for Dying Light 2. I think that could be like game of the year if it comes out next year.
Yeah, Dying Light 2 is one of those games that probably is one of those like non-PvP games. I mean, you wouldn't expect that to have PvP anyway. I mean, Anthem maybe you'd expect to have PvP, and you're kind of let down by that because you know that kind of game, like Destiny has it, so why can't Anthem have something similar? But Dying Light is a game that does not, you know, is essentially just campaign. You know, obviously there's co-op, but essentially just campaign mode. But because of the fact that every choice that you make, you know, changes the game significantly, I think they talked about, you know, hundreds of unique paths that you could take. So the replayability is astounding. It's not like a Telltale game either, where, you know, you tell Janny to, you know, go left or go right, and it changes the gameplay a little bit. This is like a real change. It's you know, you choose one thing and it could change, you know, how people. I think they talked about water, right, during the presentation. It was like, oh, if you like give them water, then you know they'll be good, and if you hold water back, then you know people will be fighting for water, and it'll change the dynamic of all the citizens and all that stuff. So yeah, no, that showed well too. What else you got?
What else? I thought with the Halo announcement at the beginning, I thought they were going to do some battle royale mode because it just seemed like they were going to do like a BR mode, just the way it started. And then it was, you know, the next Halo game, which I mean, I'm excited for it. It's definitely going to be a few years before we see that game, so
Yeah.
can't really get too hyped on that. Gears of War 5, I thought what they showed very well. Definitely, I think maybe even a different pace than Gears of War 4.
Absolutely.
The Gears Tactics I thought was a letdown because it's not coming to Xbox. I thought that would have been a decent game to have on Xbox. I would never play it, but you know the options to have a game like that. The Funko Pop game.
Yeah.
Who the fuck asked for that? Like, I was like, I saw the Gears of War, so I'm like, ooh, another Gears game, and then Funko Pops come out of the wall. I'm like, oh, great.
Oh man, yep. No, you know, Clown's is gonna buy that shit.
Isn't it free? The Funko Pop?
Yeah, I think it's free.
Oh my god, that's free. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm gonna play it.
Yeah,
Funko Pop, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No. What? Real quick about Gears Tactics. Yeah, that's kind of annoying that that's not on a console because I mean I feel like they're gonna bring it eventually just because of the backlash rather, and I feel like you know enough people will be clamoring for that, and like they said, it's coming to Windows 10. Like, you know, all this talk about how Windows 10 devices include Xbox, I feel like that's just a simple thing to just, you know, flip a switch and bring that right over. So, you know, I feel like that's going to happen in the future. But, yeah, I mean, look how popular, like turn-based games are becoming. I know EA showed Command and Conquer, a turn-based RTS kind of game at their show, and people were kind of liking that Command and Conquer reveal, and they were liking and they showed I think Microsoft showed an indie game too that was a turn-based style game and strategy game, and people liked that as well. So I feel like console players are likely to play that. So I agree with you, Assassin, on that. I think that's a missed opportunity.
No. I thought the lowest point that they had was when they were talking about Game Pass, and then that lady comes out and is like, some of the games are gonna, you know, start 2 times faster. We're gonna call it fast start. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you spent like our time talking about fast start. Like that's something you put in like a blog post, not be like, get so excited it's on a huge stage, you know, millions of people watching or thousands or whatever. to talk about some games that are getting a fast start.
Yeah, not good. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, is this like they brought that? Now she was like a engineer for Games Pass. They announced her as, and I was kind of like, okay, who are you? Because I'd never seen you before. She's obviously never spoken to a big crowd like that. And then she announces this fast start thing, and it's kind of like, okay, is this like a Game Pass feature? Like, I was like, why did they send this woman out here to talk about that feature? And it's kind of like, okay. You know, my games, I don't think my games started, like, really slowly anyway, but I guess that's cool, like, you know.
Yeah.
But there's a bigger picture here that a lot of people aren't seeing from Microsoft with this fast start. So, Mike Ybarra led on in a post from Windows Central that Microsoft is thinking about in the future streaming. He didn't say when, he said, but it is in the future. Basically, he went around the words and said it. So, start stuff. So it's starting faster while it's in the cloud, not on your actual Xbox. So it's in essence like half cloud streaming and half downloaded kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the precursor of getting the Xbox cloud service that everyone was kind of hinting was going to be announced. That wasn't really like focused on or really talked about at all at E3. Maybe this is like, you know, a precursor to that. That's kind of like working up to that. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. It's a good point.
Environment for them to test out to see if where they're headed is going to work or if they need to adjust some things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point because that's a good way to, like you said, get your feet wet, test out the waters, and see like, is this going to be a realistic possibility for us to do this? And you know, for the masses or what. So I mean, yeah, I almost would have been more impressed if they'd come out and said that, but obviously they don't want to let the cat out of the bag on the cloud gaming thing until it's a little more evolved, probably. But if they had said that the faster start, you know, and talked about the cloud gaming, I would have been like, wow, this is huge. I would have had a totally different view on it, you know, other than just like this woman coming out here randomly just being like, okay, well, my name's Ashley, and we're going to start games twice as fast. Like, you know, it's like, come on. David SNC in the chat says, and I don't know if you heard this, clowns, but only new games are going to have the fast start. It doesn't include everything.
Probably because the newer games are going to be more optimized.
Yeah, probably. I mean, if you think about it, if it really is like 2 times faster or even maybe faster than that, you know what, they're going to have to go back and you know, figure out how all those games start universally. Like, that's probably going to be a lot of work.
Update the code.
Yeah. What else did she kind of talked about? Oh yeah, she went in to talk about how Division, Fallout 4, ESO Online, Elder Scrolls Online, not ESO Online, Elder Scrolls Online, are in Games Pass now. They were in Games Pass the day of that conference, so that's kind of cool. I'm going back to Division, I'll tell you that. Other than that, I mean, we could talk about the Xbox conference for a whole podcast, but I thought that was your biggest letdown, Assassin. I thought the biggest letdown was the Battlefield stuff. Like, I thought they had the opportunity to show more Battlefield stuff. Like, if EA didn't do it, I thought when I saw EA didn't do a lot of it, I was like, okay, they're saving it for Microsoft. Like, Microsoft has the rights. They probably paid some money to have that reveal and to show off some gameplay and stuff. And then they didn't show a lot of gameplay. It was just that, like, single-player trailer bullshit. And I'm like, oh, man, miss.
Yeah, EA needs to go on, like, a huge ad campaign with that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, don't just let YouTubers make videos of it. I know YouTube has huge market penetration, but, like, you know, a lot of people were watching that conference expecting that, and essentially, you know, thought it was a bust. The showing was a bust, so.
Even, like, some of the Battlefield YouTubers I watch, they're not really posting that much content. Like, you know, there was a few videos, like, I've seen, like, 3 from one person, and one of them was, like, trimmed short because they couldn't, show a bunch of gameplay that day.
Yeah.
Because, you know, EA's conference isn't out yet or something.
Yeah.
It's just a joke.
Yep. Other quick highlights, just really quick. We'll talk about the Sea of Thieves stuff when it happens, because they did announce those 2 expansions, and then they detailed those expansions a little bit more during the Inside Xbox event that they had during this week. But We'll get into that a little more. I just know that there's 2 expansions coming by September, one next month and one in the month of September. So keep that in mind. Those expansions look pretty friggin' solid, but we'll get into those as they get closer because there's a lot of details and we could be here a while, especially with the 2 biggest super fans of Sea of Thieves here on the panel. Real quick before we move on, they showed From Software's new game, Sekiro. Shadows Die Twice. That game looks incredible. I thought that I'm more likely to play that than Tsushima, to be honest. But
the only thing disappointing from that game, like I saw From Software, his name on there. I'm like, oh my god, we're gonna get another like Dark Souls like game or Bloodborne, and then Activision's name came up. I'm like, oh no.
Yep.
Like, you just screwed everyone over. Like the game might be good, but Activision's name on it doesn't gonna be trouble.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean they showed that looked pretty good. It's a lot of people have been saying this is like the year of the samurai, and yeah, I mean that game, I feel like that game showed a lot more action than Tsushima, so I think I'm more into that than I am Tsushima, but we'll see. Tsushima also, Ghost of Tsushima, we'll get into that when we talk about PlayStation, but that game, the graphics look just absolutely incredible on that one, but
Shadows Die Twice, isn't it? To me, that reminded me of like a Dark Souls clone.
Yeah.
Well, it's made by the same people.
Yeah, for me it was like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, obviously, like a little bit of Onimusha, that game from back in the PS2 days. You gotta feel like with all those, but that I feel like they announced that game, and I feel like not a lot of people have been talking about it. I feel like that's not getting a lot of traction, like the same as Ghost of Tsushima. I feel like that game's getting a lot of traction on social networks, and Sekiro is just like not dying off in popularity here from E3, but not being focused on. Yeah, other than that, I don't think there was anything really too noteworthy specific to Xbox, but the new studios, the PUBG thing I thought was a waste of time, showing that. Division 2 we'll get into when we talk about Ubisoft.
Forza Horizon 4.
Yeah, we said that. Forza Horizon 4. That showed extremely well. I just can't believe how good that game looks.
And yeah.
They're gonna kill it. Cuphead has a new DLC coming in 2019. No talk about online multiplayer.
That would have been a perfect time to be like, there's going to be online co-op, like today or something,
Yeah. Yep. Because EA, I thought that was gonna be a theme during this E3 when EA said that about Unravel 2, that it was available instantly, but yeah, Cyberpunk at the end of the Microsoft conference, to me, I thought wasn't too impressive. I mean, it looked good, but I still don't know enough about the game to be really hyped for it. But
well, apparently, the behind closed doors, people were talking about it. Like, it looks extremely well, and some people said it might even be banned in Australia.
Really, man.
They had like an hour gameplay or something like that, or it's like an hour long behind closed doors or something. But
yeah, I feel like if you had an hour long, if the media had an hour long demo or presentation or something, and what we saw on the Microsoft conference was essentially all we were able to see, I feel like that was like selling us short a bit. If you had an hour long stuff to show the media but not to show us, like more than like a couple minutes.
Well, they probably just weren't ready. Like, could have been bugs or stuff that maybe the public shouldn't see just yet.
Maybe. I don't know. So I would have liked to see a little bit more since we've known about this game for a little while now. But I mean, it was a good teaser for people who are really into it, and a lot of people who I know on Twitter that were really anticipating it were satisfied with that. So that's usually a good sign, because when you're really anticipating a game and they don't show enough, and you really like get down on them for not doing that, those people that were really into it were really satisfied. So I think that was a good sign. All right. Anyway, moving on. Bethesda had a very weird ass showing, right? That musical number at the beginning was very weird. Before Rage, obviously Rage 2 was let out of the bag before E3, leaked thanks to, they even acknowledged it. Remember that during the conference? They were like, thanks.
Partners.
What did they say? Like, thanks Walmart Canada or something. Like,
yeah, to their lovely partners of Walmart Canada or something. Like, that was so good.
Yeah, that was excellent. But they showed Rage 2, and Rage 2 I think actually looks like it could be fun. Like, I thought the graphics looked awful. Granted, it was a stream, but I thought the gameplay looked pretty fun. It was a mix between kind of like Doom and Bulletstorm a little bit. You know, I thought it has potential.
Yeah, I'm thinking the exact opposite. Rage 2 does not look good to me.
Dude, you don't think the gameplay looked good? Like the bouncing around and the the quick. Really, I thought you liked Doom though.
It was okay. Like I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like as much as like probably a bunch of other people like really enjoyed it.
Wow. Okay. All right. Okay. I thought it looked good. I thought it looked alright. I mean, I thought the boss battles looked really cool. Like they showed off that huge like ogre looking boss. I thought that looked really cool. They talked about it being like a seamless open world, so that kind of looks fun. Almost like I don't know. Maybe there's nothing really to compare it to. A lot of people were saying like Mad Max. I mean, I guess, but like the car play looked a lot like Mad Max, but the gunplay looked nothing like Mad Max. So I mean, I guess the theme, the setting, but anyway, clowns. Anything on Reach 2? Do you like it? Hate it?
I think it looks pretty interesting. It looks really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else to say until I actually play it.
Yeah.
I never played the first one, but I just love everything Bethesda does.
Yeah.
Even Dishonored.
Wow. Wow. Good call, Assassin.
Or Doom.
Or Doom. Nice. But yeah, I mean, I thought they hit all the good points of Rage. Like, I think they advertised it well. Like, they talked about it being a seamless open world. They talked about like if you can see it, you can drive it, right, with all the vehicles. So all the vehicles are, operable, if you will. The big bosses. I just thought the graphics were not that great, but then again, it was a stream. They talked about the Elder Scrolls card game, which I wasn't impressed with that at all. I was kind of like, okay, time to move on. Like, who's playing this? It's coming to the Switch, I guess, later this year. I think all of them. Yeah. And I guess your progress from the PC and mobile versions will carry over. So I guess that's cool if you're into that. I literally wrote this down. Elder Scrolls Online talk. No one cares. Like, I literally wrote that down. No one cares. Like,
what?
What? I think the diehard fans of ESO cared, but like I don't think we really needed it at E3.
Honestly, though, Inferno, we can all safely say that ESO is way more fun than Overwatch.
Dude, if it was like easier to just like hop in and quest with people, I'd be into that. But like, I feel like at the times we played, it was like such a fucking hassle to just jump in and quest, and I was like, ugh. Like,
that part's a little annoying. But
yeah. I mean,
it's still a lot of fun.
All right, you guys are Bethesda homers, liking that
game. Game Pass.
Yeah, it's on Games Pass now, so maybe I'll give it another try. But I did buy that for the record. Remember, we played that for a little bit.
Yeah, and then you played it for like 5 minutes.
No, dude.
Yeah, you did the
5 minutes.
Like 2 hours. Like 2 hours.
You did the classic Inferno. Where you're like, I'll be right back. I gotta eat, and then you're gone for a week.
Yeah, well, dude, I had to wash the taste of that shit off my mouth. You know what I mean?
Sure.
What do you, an assassin, tell me when I play a game after 10 minutes? Like, I don't like it, and assassin's like, well, you can't judge it based on that.
Okay, all right.
Inferno,
you
can't judge it.
I'll give you that. I'll come back to it now that it's on Games Pass. I will.
You need to see at least 40 hours in Inferno before you can judge it.
40. Wow, I don't know about
40
that.
hours. Jesus. I was saying like 2 or 3, but 40. Huh?
Well, once you hit max level, and as far as the campaign goes for the initial campaign, then you have every right to judge it. You've grinded
It took me
with
forever
us,
to reach
fronts,
max
and
level or whatever to reach champion status. It took me forever to reach that.
you get your mount, and then you could judge once you have your mount too.
All right,
You
now
could
it's
buy one, and then you'll have a mount.
It's in Games Pass. I'll give it a go. I'll try it again. What else? Oh, Doom Eternal. That looked pretty good. Another Doom game. Talked about twice as many demons as the first game. That's kind of cool. And I mean, they didn't really show any gameplay, but the way they hyped it up was cool. And it is Doom. So somebody on Reddit was like, "This is my feeling after hearing about Doom Eternal," and they just flipped the Doom, and it was like Wood Eternal or Eternal Wood or something like that. I thought that was pretty funny. What else? Quake Champions is a free trial this week. So if you get into the free trial this week on PC, you can, keep playing it for the next trials that happen. So the next beta trials. I mean, what else, right? Fallout 76. We talked about that last podcast because a lot of that stuff was already out of the bag, but they did talk, we weren't sure what kind of game it was going to be, but now we know. I thought it looked pretty damn cool. Like it's a Fallout game I can definitely get behind, right?
Yeah, I think it showed very well, and I feel like some of the things that they they had those videos talking about it like towards the end, the what you could do and stuff like with like the nukes and stuff like. I think that answered a good amount of questions, and I think that will help people decide. They're being asking questions.
Yeah, they went into a lot of details with that to the point where I think anyone who doesn't know what that game's about now, you either didn't listen or you didn't see the Bethesda show. And if you're interested in the game at all and you didn't see the Bethesda show, you have to rewatch just that segment, because I thought Todd, aka God Howard, came out on stage and did a really good job presenting that. And I feel like everything that people complain about Fallout, he kind of like addressed. And take it or leave it, some people were like pissed about the fact that everyone on the map was a human person, and that you can go up and kind of like kill the other people and take their shit, and it's kind of like man eat man kind of environment. But I think that's pretty cool. What were you gonna say, Sasha?
Yeah. I love that he made that statement about their game, like you heard that their games had bugs and like all that, like just making kind of fun of their his games and stuff. I thought that was pretty.
Yeah, that was cool.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it. What else did they say? Yeah, people were kind of pissed initially about it being like always online because they're not used to that with the Fallout game, but I think it's gonna do well. I think it's gonna go well. I think the fact that he said that, it's always online, but you can definitely play it solo, I think that made people feel better. Because if he hadn't said that, I think people were going to, get kind of upset about that. But what else? Yeah, and then just a clarification as well, he was, he knew that if he didn't answer some of these questions, people were going to go crazy. So he talked about the fact that each map is or each server is only gonna have like dozens of players, not like hundreds or thousands of players at the same time. So you weren't gonna be like constantly raided by people and people trying to like kill you all the time or like take your shit. So, or nuke you. He talked about like you're gonna be able to nuke people and stuff. So, kind of cool. Clowns Fallout 76. You like the look of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's Bethesda, so I like the game. It's always not Dishonored, Doom, or, Dishonored 2, one of the worst games ever in history. Wow. But yeah, I mean, Fallout 76 looks fantastic. It looks like a lot of fun. It's got an end game for people that are high level. It shows like a nuclear type of end war. It's just, I mean, that kind of stuff is cool. Chaos and war is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this game is because the players are going to be actual people this time around. I think you're gonna get that chaos feeling a little bit more than past Fallouts. Like, granted, I'm not a huge Fallout person, but I feel like, you know, it's gonna be less of like going through the motions of a game and more like, you know, on your toes and making sure you're doing the right things and, you know, strategizing a bit more than you would in another Fallout game.
Epic,
he says. Epic.
Fantastic, amazing, epic.
All of those things. It's Bethesda, God damn it. God Howard. UK Dazzler says Fallout 69. Well, that would have been really bad if they went with that. But also really good, potentially. I don't know. Depends how you look at it.
Simulation edition?
Simulation edition, yeah. What else? Talked about Fallout Shelter coming to PS4 and Nintendo Switch. That's already out right now. Talked about Elder Scrolls Blades, which they made a huge deal about having like console quality graphics on your phone and being able to play in portrait mode and all this other bullshit. And I saw some initial impressions of the game. People are saying it's no good. They did a couple teasers right at the end, right? They had Starfield, which was the long-awaited Bethesda game that people were saying was going to be announced at like the past couple E3s, and finally they did a little teaser splash screen of the title. They did the same thing with Elder Scrolls 6, which doesn't even have like a tagline, or they literally just like panned over a field and was just like Elder Scrolls 6, and everyone like lost their friggin' minds.
Yeah.
The assassin's over there like grinning like he's one of them.
Yes.
Yeah. We all know that game's coming like 3 years from now.
Right. Yeah, but people love that. People love that, you know, in a day and age where people are bitching about not having enough like single player IPs, like, you know, they're happy that Starfield's coming and that's a brand new IP. They talked about that being the first IP that they've had in like 25 years or something like that. First genuinely new IP that Bethesda's had pretty much in their existence since like the early days of Elder Scrolls and Fallout. And then Elder Scrolls 6, obviously that's probably going to be mostly single player, and if it's not, they're probably going to fuck that up. But it's Bethesda, so they probably won't. Other than that, I think that's it for Bethesda.
You're forgetting one thing. Skyrim Very Special Edition.
Oh, yes. Skyrim Very Special Edition. On your Alexa devices now, right? Echoes, Echo Dots.
It's coming to fridges, Etch-a-Sketches.
I love how they specifically were like Samsung fridges. Like, not just like fridges, Samsung fridges. Like they had like some sort of partnership with them, you know what I mean? Incredible. Anyway, yeah, I think we can all universally say that Bethesda's conference was pretty good. I mean, I don't think it was as good as Microsoft's, but it was pretty good. I mean, that train wreck at the beginning was trash, but other than that, I thought it was pretty freaking good. Okay, then what was next? I can't remember what was next. I mean, Square Enix happened. We're not going to talk about that. That was a train wreck. They showed a lot of Kingdom Hearts 3 stuff. That looked pretty good. Other than that, not very impressed with what they showed at Square Enix. Obviously, everyone was waiting for some Kingdom Hearts gameplay and some Kingdom Hearts announcements. So we finally got the date, which was, what, January something? And we got the gameplay that everyone wanted, and it looks friggin' amazing. Not too into the Pirates of the Caribbean gameplay that they showed off at I think the PlayStation presser, but all the other gameplay they showed I thought looked very, very good. Other than that, Square Enix, do you guys have anything to say about that?
I didn't even watch it.
Yeah, not good. I heard it was not very good. I rewatched parts of it.
Watch it.
Yeah. I mean, why would you? Like, I'd rather like play a Sea of Thieves with my eyes closed and not be able to hear anyone than watch that. Like Kingdom Hearts 3 I'm interested in, but everything else they had, not, not really. They showed it at other stuff. It's like, why are you even there if everyone else is showing your stuff already? It's not even like they had really unique things. So I know we're probably going to get crushed for that in the comments later. But I mean, gotta be honest, it wasn't too exciting. And if you look on Twitter, pretty much everyone agrees. What was after that? Ubisoft, right?
Yeah.
Ubisoft, man, I gotta say, I think it was one of the lesser of their showings recently. I watched it after the fact. I didn't watch it live, so I didn't get like the feeling of what social media was feeling during the presser. But I gotta be honest with you, other than the Division 2, which looked incredible, they talked about it being in Washington D.C. It's like an overgrown, bright, heavily wooded area now in D.C. because everything's like overgrown. They talked about the new abilities that the players had, like the drones in the hive that exploited the enemy's weakness spots and stuff like that. I thought that showed pretty well, but other than that, man, I mean, what was good at Ubisoft? Like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I saw one game of E3 from GameSpot. Did you see that?
I saw the trailer from it, and I'm just thinking to my head, this is not the Assassin's Creed I loved, many games ago.
Yeah.
Which is just sad to see a game like that I love go bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think they talked so much about, we're going to take time off and make the perfect Assassin's Creed, and we're not going to after Syndicate, we're not going to do Assassin's Creed every year, right? And then they did Origins, and Origins was like, they're finally back, and Origins is excellent, and everyone pretty much loved it, blah blah blah, and now they're back to making one every year. Like, come on, that's so hypocritical. I feel like that's a step in the wrong direction. Just release it on a bi-yearly schedule, or not bi-yearly, but every other year schedule, and leave it at that. I feel like, obviously a lot of people did love the game. Like I said, GameSpot gave that game its game of E3. So that's saying something.
You're talking about Assassin's Creed Odyssey?
Yeah. What did you think of it, Clowns? Did you take a look at it?
I didn't like Origins. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I didn't like Origins. Graphically, it was good, but I thought the whole way open world aspect was, to me personally, was kind of boring. And I have a feeling that if Odyssey's built upon the same way that Origins was built, it's not going to be for me.
Yeah, I feel like that's I feel like so many people loved Origins, though. That's kind of going to be the formula going forward. How Assassin's Creed back in the day had a formula, right? And it just like was the same thing over and over and over, and people eventually did get stale of that. But now that Origins is fresh and people, like you said, Clowns, you didn't really like it. And Assassin, I don't want to speak for you, but I pretty much know that you didn't like it as much as some of the other games. But
yeah, and it was just disappointing. I want to like it, but
I think generally speaking, people are really digging Assassin's Creed Origins. I think now they think that that's kind of like the new formula they're going to go with. And, it's kind of, in terms of the bottom dollar, I think it's a smart idea because people did like Origins, and I think that's just going to translate into people liking the next game. And obviously, it showed well at E3 because GameSpot wouldn't just give that its game of show if it wasn't good. But at the same time, like you're not helping out your case with diehards. Like a lot of the diehards for Origins didn't like it. But for me, it's about releasing the game a year, on the yearly schedule again, because they got away from that so well. I thought they did a great job going in every other year, and they just kept that going. I mean, Ubisoft has a ton of games out that are coming out. It's not like they're like hurting for games right now. They didn't need to, if this game is rushed in any way, or if it's like a copy paste of Origins, like a reskinning, kind of like what was it, like Far Cry Primal, right? It was like a reskinning of the same map of Far Cry 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
If it's like that, I mean, I think they're gonna get shat on, and then they're gonna ruin. It's gonna be ruined. So, anything else from Ubisoft that was like fantastic? I mean, the Crew 2 I thought showed decently well. I'm excited for the Crew 2. And I was one of the biggest haters of the original Crew. Skull and Bones, that's another big one we should probably talk about. What did you guys think of how Skull and Bones showed?
I think that showed extremely bad. I was excited for another pirate game. I was worried that it could, destroy Sea of Thieves, because they were supposed to launch at the same time, or close to. And now I'm just not worried about Skull and Bones. It just, I don't know. It looks more arcadey version of Black Flag, and it just doesn't look fun.
Yeah, very. I mean, I wasn't like super into the game from the get-go, so I'm not, one to really like be an advocate for it, but at the same time, I don't think it did much to save itself with me, like you go into something, with an opinion of one way, and you need to be kind of like proven wrong in order to like it again, if you have a bad taste in your mouth from the first time, you gotta like really be enthralled by it in order to really like it, and I don't think it did itself enough favors for me to buy it day one or really be interested in it when I'm playing Sea of Thieves and loving that,
Yeah.
Clowns, did you see any Skull and Bones stuff?
Because I didn't like anything from Black Flag. So Assassin told me long ago that was like a Black Flag type version. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna skip it.
Yep. I mean, that's essentially it. I mean, if you and David says even it's even less of a scope than Black Flag. Like it's even less of a, it's Black Flag. Like, yeah, that was a big part of the game, but there was also parts of the game, like David says, where you're off the ship and there's a lot of stuff you can do on the ground. Obviously, it's an Assassin's Creed game, but in this game, I guess it looks like you're not able to come off the ship at all. So, what's up with that?
I don't know. Is the game even open world? Because the way it showed, like, it's like mission based. That's the way the feeling I got.
That's the exact feeling I got too. And I don't think they were really forthcoming about that, which they probably should have been at this point since they showed it last year. Like that's the formula I think people should be following. Like if you show a teaser one year, the next year you're probably, even if it's another year down the line, like you're probably gonna have to talk a little bit more about the game. You can't just essentially tease it again and just like show some gameplay and that's it. You gotta talk about it and really delve into it. Like Fallout 76, right? Look at Fallout 76. The game leaks like 3 weeks, not even 3 weeks later, like 2 weeks later, maybe not even 2 weeks, right? Later, they're talking about the game at length. Like they spent at least 10 minutes talking about what that game is about, and people are excited for that. Now, Skull and Bones, they showed last year. Now it's this year, and they didn't talk about it enough. Like, how are you going to get people excited for the game?
Well, they'll do their lovely closed and open betas 2 weeks before launch.
Right. Yeah, probably.
Like, when's the Crew 2 beta coming out? Because I know like the game launches like in 2 weeks.
Dude, Crew 2 beta already happened. What do you mean?
The open one?
Oh, not the open one, no.
Yeah, the closed one I played.
Right. Okay. Anyway, other than that, I mean, Ubisoft, I mean, Beyond Good and Evil 2, I mean, I'm the wrong person to talk about that, I'll be honest. Like, I'm not the one to podcast about that because I'm not too into it.
No.
And what were you going to say?
I was Beyond Good and Evil 2.
What?
Yeah.
Say it again? Say it again? What were you saying? Can you hear him, Assassin?
I can hear clowns.
Oh, I can't hear him. Weird. Hold on. All right, Clown, say it one more time.
Well, the thing that I have concerns about Beyond Good and Evil 2 is that they were on Twitter and social media asking players for ideas to put in the game, for just things to do here and there. So it makes me feel like kind of like they ran out of ideas. So I'm a little concerned about it. But just worried.
Yeah, that was a stupid thing to show. Like, I'm all for people's, content coming in the game, like artwork or whatever. But don't show it at E3. It's just showing that you don't have anything. I mean, it's an Ubisoft game. They don't have, like, anything to begin with in their game. But it's literally, like at Far Cry 5, it's like a bunch of boring crap no one gives a, fuck about, or copy and paste of other things. It's just, Ubisoft games are not good.
Yeah, that's probably something. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see that, but that is something that I probably should have kept out of that. I mean,
well, they're partnering with Joseph Gordon-Levitt with Hit Record. So, because people put in their content, they make things. So, like, they're doing that. Like, that's a good partnership. But don't, like, wait till after the game's out or something.
Yeah. I hear you on that. Other than that, I think we can move on from Ubisoft. I mean, I think Division was definitely the star of the show. And for good reason. I thought the game looked awesome, and I'm excited for it. And I'm really, really shocked they didn't show off a Splinter Cell, or didn't even talk about it, like not even a splash screen or anything. I'm really shocked about that. Especially since that was part of the Walmart Canada leak, which proved to have some truth to it. So obviously that leak did have some things that were right. So, yeah. All right, we got to move on in the interest of time. Next up was PlayStation, I think, actually. So we already talked about it a little bit at the beginning, that the musical numbers were trash. I don't know why they did that. I thought that didn't add much. I mean, in past years they've done musical things that have kind of added to the tone of the presser, but they didn't take up nearly as much time. This time it was too time consuming. The things where they showed a game and then broke away to a panel to discuss said game and to like just discuss some other random shit, I don't think that worked at all. I thought that was terrible for pacing. When I got away from that, I thought that was a good thing, because later on in the conference, it's like they completely changed the strategy. Like they started out with that, and then towards the end, like they just picked it up. They showed a lot more stuff, and it was like a traditional conference. And then even Sony themselves like talked shit about other conferences, and they were like, "Oh, well, we consciously did it because, you know, other conferences are boring or some shit. Or antiquated or something. I can't remember the word they used. But if you look it up on Google, Sony talked shit about all the other conferences, essentially, and said that, you know, the way they did it was the right way and the new way to do it. And, it, you know.
Yeah, how it started in a tent or a church, I think it was. Like, it was just so stupid.
Yeah, and they show something and then funnel people, all those people at the event, into another room.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess that was exciting for people that were there. I know a lot of people on Twitter said that. They were like, "Ugh, this is really showing terrible on the stream." But for people that were there, I guess it's cool. Yeah, that was a big shot in the foot, I think. In terms of the big four, Last of Us 2, let's, I guess, start with that since that was the first one shown. I thought the gameplay looked incredible, much like the first game, but evolved. So animations were amazing. The flow of the animations were great, to the point where some people thought that it could be fake. I think one of the developers or one of the community managers for Crystal Dynamics, the company behind Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I think called them out on Twitter and then deleted their tweet, essentially being like, "Oh, your shit's fake." I don't know if you guys saw that, but I'm pretty sure it was somebody from Crystal. I'm pretty sure it was somebody from Crystal Dynamics. But
Naughty Dog does, I mean, pretty good job with their games. Like Uncharted 4, like the last Naughty Dog, you know, more recent Naughty Dog game I've played, and it looked fantastic. So I bet, you know, a few years after that game, mind blowing.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Last of Us 2 showed extremely well, and I know some people think it didn't show super well because it looked too fake. But honestly, like, who knows if it's fake? You know, maybe it looked fake, but who knows? Like Naughty Dog, like you kind of said, Assassin. Like Naughty Dog is a good reputable developer that doesn't have necessarily a history of doing like shady shit like Ubisoft with Watch Dogs or, I mean even a company like CD Projekt Red back in the day with The Witcher 3, I think it was. They downgraded a lot of the stuff, but then they like essentially apologized for it and made up for it with the game being so great, but and I haven't done that since. But Last of Us 2 looked a little bit scripted, but I'm okay with that because I think all that stuff that they did was realistically possible in the game. You know what I mean? It's not like it was scripted to the point where it looked impossible, but I could be wrong.
And then you get all those people complaining with those two ladies kissing.
Oh my God.
Right at the end. Like, we all knew she like made out with her friend in the DLC years ago.
Wow,
like,
spoilers, jeez.
The game is like 5 years old. There's
Wow.
like 6 billion different versions of the game.
Oh, I didn't even know, Assassin.
Yeah,
That's spoilers,
yeah,
man. I'm
no
disappointed.
kidding. Right? Yikes.
Oh, well,
We traded
it's
in
5
now.
years old. Well, you're gonna take a great game and trade it in. I'm just gonna tell you that.
In the YouTube chat, JP Rita says Naughty Dog debunked it. So I'm assuming you're talking about the fact that it was scripted, or that it was like CGI or computer generated gameplay or something. But I thought it looked real. I thought it looked pretty real. I'm not. At one moment, she fired an arrow that looked like it completely missed, but then it hit, and I was like, okay, well, that looks a little shady. But other than that, I thought everything else was realistically possible.
Yeah, but that's typical video games. I mean, look at Rainbow Six Siege for the first few months. Like, you shot someone with a shotgun, totally misses, and you get the kill. Like,
Right.
that happens.
Right. Let me see. Other quick thoughts about Last of Us 2 from me, at least. I thought the grass was like extremely detailed. I thought it was cool that you could use the grass and like climb under cars to use cover and stuff. I thought the cover was way improved, and I think that is a function of the fact that it's 5 years later, so they have more to deal with and better engine and way more assets that they can make usable in that way. So that makes sense, but I was still kind of blown away by it. Like the grass detail I thought was stunningly good.
I wonder if they got like a bigger budget or something, because it just looks so much better than like The Last of Us.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, granted it is 5 years later, but even still, I mean, it really, like, the detail on the extra stuff was just like way better, like mind-blowingly better. I mean, you look at like Gears 2 versus Gears 4, and yeah, it does look better because it's a function of more technology, but I don't think it's as quantum of a leap as or Gears 3 to Gears 4 rather. I don't think it's as quantum of a leap of like Last of Us to Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
And the shading is way better and everything, and that's just really good. Any more on that really quick? Last of Us?
I wish they gave a release date. I believe they didn't give one, but
no, they didn't.
Like that would be nice to have one, because that game I'm looking so forward to.
Yeah, speaking of a game that another game that didn't have a release date, Ghost of Tsushima, which Clowns calls Ghost of Sushi.
Watch out for food poisoning.
Watch out for food poisoning in that game. Now that game, I thought graphically looked incredible. I think HDR, that's going to be one of the best looking games on console for sure when that game comes out. I don't think there was a release date with that either. But the gameplay I thought was kind of slow at the beginning, at least. I thought the samurai showdown at the end of the gameplay demo was pretty cool. But other than that, like, man, I mean, it was like a little too stealthy for me and a little too much like Arkham Knight. You know, it's like. You're mixing in like a Rocksteady game to Samurais. Like, I don't know if that doesn't really do it for me. I thought it was badass with like the grapple hook and stuff, and I thought the movement was really cool, like the animation on the samurai movement. You'd have to watch the video to know but what I'm talking about. But I I mean, a lot of stuff looked great, but it was just so slow at the beginning. What'd you guys think?
I don't. After last year when we saw what the game was, like I wasn't excited for it. I didn't want anything to do with it. And what they showed, like I'm actually interested in the game, like that when he broke down from the ceiling and did all that like that Batman move, like from Dark Knight, like that just threw me off. We like that. I didn't think we needed that in that type of game.
Yeah, definitely not.
But I mean, the combat, like I'm getting some like Batman or Mad Max vibes from it. So I'm excited to see how well that game does.
Yeah, I mean the on the ground combat where they mixed in like kind of like the bullet time effects with the slowdown and all that looked pretty badass. But like I'm with you on that dropping down like Batman kind of thing. Like this guy's not Batman. You know what I mean? Like I understand that.
Exactly.
I understand that like maybe that's a samurai lore kind of thing, but that's not the samurai lore I want to be playing. I'm not looking to be in this game like super stealthy like that. That's why I think Sekiro looked so much better to me than this game, because I'm not looking to play a game. If I'm looking to play a stealthy game, I want like spies. I want like I'm not sure. I think of samurai and I think of like this guy that slithers from up above and just like drops down on people. Like if you want to sneak around people on the ground, yeah, but like I don't know, something about that rubbed me the wrong way. But I could be just ignorant.
At least they didn't say the game was like super realistic and then have like a giant crab come down like the PS3 E3.
Very good. And now we have this giant crab. Like, yes, very good, very good. What else? What else in the PlayStation conference? Let's go through the rest of the big four then before we get into the other stuff. I mean, Death Stranding. I mean, what the fuck was that?
Oh my god, I've said it multiple times. Like I was looking forward to that game, but now you see, I forget his name. I was saying it all before, but you just see him carrying like boxes up hills, like, and then like having a baby on your chest and just sneaking by things. Like, I don't know if that's going to be a good game. I know it has good talent behind the game, but like if it's just a walking sim, like I don't. It's just not my kind of game.
Clowns, any thoughts on what we saw from Death Stranding?
No, I wasn't interested in the first place, so I didn't watch it, and I'm not a big fan of Kojima.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
he's gone.
Yes, I mean that I would probably agree with a little bit. Is that I don't agree with how he was kind of like let go, so to speak, a few years ago, and from the Metal Gear team and all that. Like I don't necessarily agree with that, but I think after that, like he could have just rode off into the sunset a little bit. Or put out a game that was kind of related to that a little bit. But this game, I feel like, has no relation to that. And I feel like we still, at this point, don't even know what it is. And I feel like it's one of those things that, people shit on Overwatch for, right? Like, people were shitting on Overwatch, and they were saying, oh, if Overwatch wasn't Blizzard, like, people would shit all over that game, right? I feel like the same thing with this Death Stranding. Like, if this Death Stranding showed the way it did, and it wasn't Kojima, I feel like people wouldn't be interested. Like, I feel like people are just falsely interested in that. And you can chew me out in the comments below, but honestly, like, I will not move off that statement. I think that that's the God honest truth, that if this were not Kojima, this game would be not even featured by Sony. Like, that would not have been part of the big four. And when is this game even coming out? Like, we saw so little of this game. Like, I think out of the big four, that's definitely the one coming out last, if I'm being honest.
Well, I think that's the one that started, started development last. I mean,
yeah, that's true too.
I mean, we didn't recently get Metal Gear, but I mean, it's been a while since. You know what I'm getting at.
Yeah. No, I know. No, it's true. I mean, that's a good point too, and don't necessarily knock it because it started last. Yeah, whatever. That's fine. And that's a good point. But at the same time, like, I feel like for having a 10-minute demo, like we showed that they said right from the get-go, they're going to show 10 minutes of like all these big four, right? They showed me 10 minutes and I still don't know what it is. Like, I still don't even remotely know what it is. Like, how can you do that?
I've heard a few people say that trailer answered some questions, but then gave us,
more.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. I agree with that. And then finally Spider-Man, which is coming out in September. So I don't even know why they spent so much time on that, to be honest. Like, I feel like E3 is more of a thing where they should be talking about stuff, coming out later than September. Like, granted, all of them do that kind of, but I don't think they spend that much time on it. If this game would come out in like November, I think it would have been all right. But, this game is like 3 months away. So less than 3 months away at this point. But what they showed I thought was really cool. It was way different than anything they had shown, right? With that like battle on the tanker, and then they had all the bosses kind of come together a little bit. Not all of them, but a few of the, common well-known villains of the Spider-Man universe just come together and kind of take on Spider-Man. And I thought Spider-Man looked pretty vulnerable there. I thought that was pretty cool because to me, like, Spider-Man's cool and all, and these superheroes are cool, but I feel like there aren't enough moments where these superheroes are vulnerable. And Spider-Man, like, in the movies, in some spots, is very vulnerable. But in video games, I feel like he's not. And I feel like in this one, what they showed made him kind of not look invincible, and I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
What about you guys? What did you guys think?
I mean, the game looks good. I'll probably get some shit for this in the comments, or you guys. Like, I'm still kind of not, like, I want to play the game, but I'm not, like, looking forward to playing the game. Like, I don't know. There's just something about it. I can't put my finger on it. I'm just not excited for the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am going to give you shit for that because the game looks fucking amazing. I don't know how you can, you of all people who loves the like Batman Arkham Rocksteady games cannot be into a game like this. Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah, I know. It's I just don't know.
Wow, weird.
Yeah.
Clowns, Spider-Man, you interested in that? Did you like what you saw rather?
I didn't, to be honest, I didn't see much of Sony's conference, but I am highly interested in Spider-Man. I think that's one of the only games. I do love Insomniac, and I think it's going to be a fantastic game.
Dude, you need to go back and just watch that section of the conference then, because I think you'll like what you see. I think you'll really like what you see. I thought it showed extremely. You got to admit, Assassin, it showed extremely well.
I mean, what they showed looked good. Like I said, I don't know what's about the game that's just like I don't see myself putting $60 down on the game.
Yeah, all right. We'll see what happens in September. But yeah, you're gonna spend like $100 on the new Call of Duty. Like, what the hell's the matter with you?
Well, because I know Call of Duty I'll be playing. Like, I'm still playing World War II. Like, I know I'll beat Spider-Man once and then not play it again.
What if there's free story-based DLC?
Well, I doubt it, since they already, the deluxe has the season pass.
Fuck. I hate you sometimes. Okay, all right, fair enough. All right, other things in Sony really quick. What else? They talked about Destiny 2 a little bit. I mean, they talked about... it wasn't even that much. I thought they would have taken some time, like I said at the beginning of the podcast. I thought they would have taken some time to show off some Destiny and some Call of Duty Black Ops 4, but,
Yeah, but what they showed pissed off a bunch of people.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
You look at Destiny 2, you killed off Cade.
Yeah, bad.
And his goat, so he won't come back. Like, a bunch of people like him. He's, like, really the only person who, who's interesting, unlike the other people. He just got some people just sitting there with no emotion. Mm-hmm. And then you get to the Black Ops 4 stuff where you pre-order digitally, you get the 4 remastered maps that are coming to Black Ops 4, 2 Black Ops, you get that map pack for Black Ops 3. But you can only get that Black Ops, those Black Ops 3 maps if you pre-order digitally through this PlayStation Store. So if you pre-ordered, they basically just told you, fuck you, if you go to GameStop and pre-ordered, or Best Buy or Amazon. So then, and then the people who did it, they're not going to have like anyone to play with because not everyone's just going to pre-order on the PlayStation Store.
I wonder if they'll change that in the future. Like, I wonder if enough people will bitch about that they change it. Or I wonder if they just see so few people playing it, those maps, that they are just going to... Because why even put that kind of effort into getting those maps in Black Ops 3 if you're going to restrict it to, that subset of people? That is a stupid move. I agree with you on that.
And then on top of that, they basically held up their middle finger to Xbox and PC players because they're not coming to the other consoles.
Right.
So it's like, what the fuck are you doing, Activision? Like, they're already getting a bunch of shit before that because they announced a season pass for multiplayer.
Right.
And not, because the leaks are saying free maps for multiplayer and just the zombies season pass, which is totally fine.
Right. Yep. I mean, I don't know what they're thinking. I think Activision has, or Sony has Activision by the balls at this point. I don't know how that's possible since the gen started with Microsoft having those marketing rights, and now it feels like Sony has such a control over Activision and Call of Duty specifically. It's just, I mean, it is a big FU to all the other players, and they made a huge... I know Activision during their live stream... Oh, it wasn't even Activision. Was it Treyarch's live stream?
Yeah.
Treyarch's live stream talked about how they're focusing on PC. They're going to have it on Battle.net. They're going to make the best PC experience, and blah, blah, blah. And then like a move like this is kind of a slap in the face to them. So, I mean...
And as much as they're putting so much work in the PC, we all know it's not going to take off on PC. Call of Duty is a console game.
Yep.
Like, it's sold the most on console, no matter how much money you put in PC.
Yep. And the esports, everyone's so interested in esports and how the games are esports ready and all this bullshit. And now, it's when it goes to esports, it's not going to be on PC anyway. It's going to be on console. So, all right, really quick before I've got to get out of here, we're gonna have to make Fortnite a different video because I have to go to Home Depot before it closes. But anyway, just really quick, what else did they show? Control, which is essentially Quantum Break 2. What did you guys think of that?
I liked Quantum Break, and I think that game looked pretty good. But I'm so glad it's not a PlayStation exclusive, because that would just be a big fuck you from Remedy and Sony.
Notice how when Microsoft shows off games that are, essentially multiplats, right? But they say like world premiere, right? Microsoft will be like world premiere, and they'll show a game, and it's multiplat. Everyone's like, oh, well, that's multiplat anyway. You suck. But then, like, Sony shows off Control, and people essentially assume that it's, like, they don't even think, oh, maybe it is multiplat. They just assume that it's for exclusive, and they're like, oh, what a great get by Sony. It's such a double standard, man. It's insane.
And all these people who hated Quantum Break are loving Control when it's based on Quantum Break 2.
Right.
It's disgusting.
Yep. What else really quick? The Resident Evil 2 remake looks great, and I know that's really a loss on you, Assassin, but me and Clowns will love that shit. What were you saying, Assassin?
Yep. To it being lost on me, because I don't think that looks that great.
Oh my god, it's gonna be amazing. I mean, I think my brother already pre-ordered it.
Wow.
Yeah. And what else? Trover Saves the Universe, that Rick and Morty stupid shit. That platformer that they showed off. Like, that was so out of place.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. There's a Rick and Morty platformer that I missed?
It's not Rick and Morty, but it's made by the guys.
It's made by the same guys.
I gotta look that up.
Yeah.
Terrible, annoying game.
What was the name of it?
Trover Saves the Universe. Trover Saves the Universe. And what else? I mean, they didn't really show much of anything else more. I mean, they showed some more Kingdom Hearts 3. Honestly, I thought that showed even better than Square Enix's conference. I thought Kingdom Hearts 3 showed really well on PlayStations. There's going to be a special edition PS4 that looks like absolute dog shit. Takes the new crown for the worst looking custom PlayStation 4 Pro. Right, Assassin? I mean, that looks like fucking shit.
It was bad.
I mean, I thought they demoed a lot more stuff than Xbox. Yeah, Xbox beat them to the punch, and so did Square Enix, obviously. But I thought that they showed a ton, and I thought that most of it looked good. Like I said, the Pirates of the Caribbean thing I thought was pretty out of place, but other than that, I thought it looked pretty good. And I think that was it. Like, in the hour and a half, I think that was it.
Well, you're forgetting the most important thing. At the end, they're like, thank you for watching the E3 showcase. Stick around, we have a new game to show you. And then they showed From Software's VR game. Like, I should have shown that. Maybe at your conference. Like, that's where you've shown the games.
I did forget that, dude. I did forget that. Oh, and they did all. What else? They talked about that a few like VR games that were exclusive, like that lightsaber rhythm game. Yeah, that looked good.
That looks so good.
That looks good. But I mean, not much of a focus other than those two things on VR, really. But yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was a bust, though. I mean, that was stupid. You thought it was gonna be something like way more, and then it ended up being that. It was kind of like, ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I think that's kind of a wrap on E3. I can't think of really anything else. Nintendo. Oh man. Like Clown said, Nintendo shares dropped, and I think that's because their conference had like almost no third-party support. It's like here we go again, right? They talked about Mario Party, which I'm gonna destroy Assassin at if he ever gets a Switch.
It has no multiplayer.
Yeah, it has no multiplayer. No plans to add online either.
What?
Player.
No online functionality.
Okay, never mind. I'm gonna have to fly out to Wisconsin to kick your ass.
I would still kick your ass.
Fine. When I show up at your door, dude, with the Switch in hand, I mean,
I'm gonna hand you a tissue because you're gonna be crying.
My ass.
You're gonna feel ashamed that you're in Wisconsin. You got your ass kicked.
My ass. Well, I mean, what else do they even talk about? Like Fortnite coming to Switch. We'll get into that in a separate video because, like I said, there's just time I gotta bounce. But we gotta talk about that Fortnite thing, which I mean, that's a disaster. Obviously, that's coming to Switch. Paladins on Switch at 60 FPS. Smash Brothers, obviously, like people are surprised that Smash Brothers looks as good as it does. I mean, why are you surprised? It already looked good in the Wii U. I don't understand why people get so excited about that. I mean, obviously it's cool because it has all the fighters of all the Smash Brothers games. I thought that was pretty cool.
Except Waluigi.
Except Waluigi, is that what you said?
Yeah, whatever.
Is that legit? He's not in there?
He's not. No, there's memes about it. Just Google it.
Oh my god, I didn't see that. Wow, what a dick move. That's pretty funny though. What else? I mean, they showed more of the Let's Go Pikachu. I mean, that looks the same. I mean, we knew all about that already. That kind of leaked a little bit. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it, right? I mean,
no.
But yeah, great E3 in general. I thought overall it was pretty freaking good. Like we talked about during the podcast here, a few lows here and there, but overall, I thought it was pretty good. So hopefully this is kind of a, like people are saying that E3 is going to go away. I don't want to get into that too crazy right now because, like I said, I got to bounce. But I think after this conference, I thought, E3 obviously is not going to go anywhere. I don't think. I think they did really well this time. I think a lot more people watched too. I think obviously like on Twitch and on Mixer, YouTube, there's a lot of coverage of it, and I thought a lot of people were really interested. So, but all right. Anyway, that's about it. I can't believe we talked that long about E3, but there was a lot to take in. And and speaking of taking in, Assassin will take in my metaphorical load when I come to Wisconsin and beat him in Mario Party. But
that's load shit.
Wow. Anyway, all right. If you liked what you saw here, definitely subscribe to us here on YouTube. Also find us, just search 4GwQPodcast. You'll find us on everything. Next week, we'll, I don't know what we're going to do with the podcast. I'm going to be like moving a little bit here. I know I've discussed this on the show before, but I think next week is when I'm finally going to be doing some moving. So I don't know if we're going to have to delay the show or move it to a different day or a different time or something, but we'll discuss that and I'll let you guys know. But follow us on Twitter, 4GwQPodcast, so you find all that information. And follow us individually as well. Hit us up. Let us know how much Assassin sucks at Mario Party.
And don't forget, one of the greatest movies of all time, has come out recently since the last Goodfellas and HBO's Gotti. It's Gotti in the movies with John Travolta. Really cool thing. A&E's got a documentary on. And one of the pallbearers carrying Carlo Gambino looks exactly like my dad. I don't have to post pictures, but...
Oh, shit. Yeah, post some pictures.
If it really is him or not, but yep.
Nice. Post some pictures. Definitely post some pictures of that. Other than that, I think we're done with this episode. We'll talk about Fortnite in a separate video, but we'll definitely have to make another video about that at some point this weekend or something, because that Fortnite thing is fucking crazy. Anyway, we'll see you guys later. Peace.